Okay, so I'm splitting this one off from Dragon Ball Z because they're honestly two different entities to me. Yes, Dragon Ball Z is the sequel, but there it is. It's a legitimate sequel. Whereas Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z have different tones, different styles, and overall different feels to them. So this one ranks at number 6 for me, and you could probably guess where Z's going to end up next. But I'll just focus on Dragon Ball and why it's only at number 6 rather than maybe a bit higher than Z. And that's because I love Dragon Ball. I think it's really good. It's honestly a lot more tightly written than the Dragon Ball Z anime, mainly because it has a lot less filler in it. But at the same time, I wouldn't have ever watched Dragon Ball if I had never seen Z. In fact, there would be no Dragon Ball in the West if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z being here first. So with how much I love Dragon Ball, it has to rank below Dragon Ball Z for me. Just because I would never have gone out of my way to watch it at the time. With that being said though, I fucking love Dragon Ball. I love getting to see the early origins of Goku, Master Roshi, Bulma, Krillin, Tien, Piccolo, Chi-Chi, all of them. It's just such nostalgic delight. This show, I wouldn't necessarily say it was my childhood because that was more Z, but it was definitely a part of it there. And later on, when I rewatched a lot of it, I was kind of amazed at maybe some of the stuff I'd forgotten or missed. But there's just so many iconic moments in this show, whether it be the hilarious First Wish, Goku versus Krillin for me, Goku versus Jackie Chun, Goku never being able to win a fucking World Martial Arts tournament until the very end of the entire series, which was honestly, when you compare it to Dragon Ball Z, is kind of refreshing for how Goku is kind of portrayed a lot in Dragon Ball Z. It's a different experience, I'll say. The characters are a lot more stubby, it's a lot more cartoony, if that makes any sense. And there's just a more adventure-like feel, at least in the beginning, and then like parts of the Red Ribbon Army arc, the Baba arc, and then I'd also say the King Piccolo arc is kind of adventure-y because of the different places Goku has to go in order to finally be able to overcome that fucker. But this is one of the King's Shonen. It's just so good. There's so many good fights throughout it. Goku versus Krillin, Goku versus Jackie Chun, Krillin versus Jackie Chun, Yamcha versus Tien. Yeah, it actually had a really good Yamcha fight and made you feel sympathy for Yamcha. I miss those days. Krillin versus Chaozu was also a good fight for Krillin. And then, of course, there's both Goku versus Tien fights, which were the first one, that ending BS aside, was just really, really good. And then the second one, I kind of, they're both interchangeable to me because it's a little annoying how Tien's just kind of lesser than Goku by the Third World Martial Arts Tournament, but that's to be expected because Goku, the only person who can take on Goku at that time is Piccolo Jr. But both of those fights are really good. And since I brought him up, both Piccolos. His two fights with King Piccolo, great, especially the last one. It's just really satisfying to see him be taken to the absolute limit and have to do everything he can in order to finally take down the Demon King. And then there's Piccolo, who is kind of the original Vegeta in the sense of there's this build-up over time to when they finally clash after Goku dispatches of the predecessor, Raditz for Vegeta, King Piccolo for Piccolo Jr., and then there's this great build-up throughout the tournament of the last tournament of the entire series, which is like, oh, Goku and Piccolo are just being built up this entire time. Piccolo honestly has Krillin's arguably last good fight, which is kind of sad, but like I said, or like I've always thought, Krillin was kind of what Vegeta became for Dragon Ball Z. Krillin was the chief jobber for Dragon Ball. He's the one that someone would beat on the final path to fighting Goku. Which is what Vegeta became in a lot of Dragon Ball Z. But that Piccolo versus Krillin fight was really good. And then you had Goku versus Chi-Chi, which, while funny, also had some good moments here and there and had a rather satisfying ending. Piccolo versus Kami raised the stakes for the entire tournament, and as I've already said, Goku versus Tien was a really good fight, even if it was already kind of obvious who was going to win that. And then Piccolo versus Goku was the perfect way to cap off the entire series. Just every different ability Piccolo brought out, everything that Goku brought out, using a Kamehameha from his feet, propelling himself in the air, and just ramming his head into Piccolo to finally fucking win the World Martial Arts Tournament. That was something that was oddly satisfying for me whenever I got around to watching Dragon Ball after watching Z. It's just, it was, that arc of Goku having to work his way up, first battling his mentor, then battling a rival, and finally battling, honestly, the chief villain in order to finally win the World Martial Arts Tournament, which wouldn't become a big deal in any of the later series, and honestly should have got brought up more. But with what we got, it was just great to finally see that happen. His later marriage to Chi-Chi was entertaining, even though that entire thing was a filler arc. It was nice to see those two get some moments and to see Grandpa Gohan get back. There are just so many things I could say about the original series that filled me with such utter delight, or shocked me when I rewatched them because I had forgotten about that. I had watched Dragon Ball originally back when, say, I was 2004, 2005, and then I rewatched it in 2010, and the moment Piccolo killed Shenron, I had completely forgot that happened. And that honestly just kind of floored me because I couldn't believe I had forgotten that happened. This show, I kind of wish I had seen Dragon Ball before Z, because it's really entertaining to just see the stakes get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in Dragon Ball. But having seen Z, I know where all this is going to go. I've seen much bigger stakes. So, to anybody who has never seen Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball Super, watch Dragon Ball first. I know it might take a little bit to get into. Maybe you're a little confused by everybody's making a big deal about this show with this monkey kid with a tail, this 8-year-old shape-shifting pig, and all that. But it gets better as it goes along. Trust me. And arguably, I find that first arc pretty good. But Dragon Ball honestly earns number 6 on this list with ease. It wouldn't be above any of the others. It's not my favorite shonen. Dragon Ball Z has more of a special place in my heart. But Dragon Ball is still great. Anybody who hasn't seen it, I implore you to go watch it. You don't have to watch Z afterwards. You can just end it on Dragon Ball. But please, give this show a chance. And with that said, I have nothing else to say, but later.